It's time for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. It's time for The Game on ESPN 1400. For the next 2 hours, we'll get an in-depth look at local sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region, and hear from the coaches and players involved in the game. We'll also analyze the college and pro sports scene across the region and dive into the biggest national stories. Now, let's get to the game and join your host, Scott Nason.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to The Game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios of ESPN Radio here on 3 Mile Road in downtown at Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on this Monday, August 5th, 2019. Weather-wise, look out. We're going to have some showers and thunderstorms coming through in the next hour or so. None of the severe type, at least at this point. We'll keep you up to date on that and more. But we're not a weather show. We are a sports show. And I'm joined here in studio by our broadcast engineer, Alyssa Bradley, once again this week, and by the host of the Game Sports Show in Soo, Ontario, Dave McCaig. Kegger, how you doing tonight?
Scotty, I'm doing great. I didn't get wet, didn't storm on the way in here. Thankfully, I don't like to stay dry.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Dave, and we have a special guest right off the hop as head coach of the Soo Eagles, Doug Laprade, joining us here in studio. Doug, nice to see you, and welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite. Nice to be here.
Well, it's already hockey season, Dave, as we talked about last week, and the Soo Eagles held their main camp this weekend at the Big Bear Arena. I had a chance to catch a little bit of it Friday and Sunday. Coach, just give us a snapshot as far as how the camp went. I think you had 45 or 46 individuals taking part. Just overall, before we get into some of the details, how did the camp go?
I thought the camp went well. Second year here, obviously coaching at different levels, different things are so much different everywhere you go, whether it's high school or college and now in juniors. So it's hard to, first year was hard to read where you think you might be. This year we had I had a much better perspective on where I think we are. And the good news is I think we're miles and miles ahead of where we were at this time last year.
Well, and one of the reasons for that, Coach, at least, is looking at some of the players that have committed, a lot of returners for last year. Give us an idea of some of the players coming back from last season that will be Soo Eagles this year, and any other player signings from the camp or just in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have 12 kids returning from last year, so we're excited about those kids. 12 really good hockey players. We've lost 4 kids to the North American Hockey League this year. I wish them the best. I hope that goes well for them, but that's the possibility that the North American Hockey League takes an average of 35 kids into camp, and you can only have 23, maybe 24. So 10, 11 kids on I think it's 26 hockey teams are going to get released within the next month. So there's a huge trickle down after that. But with that aside, I'm pretty happy with what we got at the moment. So, those 4 kids that were with us last year, they're gonna start out there, and if things don't work out, we may get them back if we want them back. So, excited about where we are. Excited about the returners and the new kids. We like I said, we're so far ahead of where we were last year. I'm looking forward to starting forward here.
How imperative was it to get some returning guys? Everyone talks about in junior hockey and hockey in general that, it's important to have returning guys, the experience, what you experienced last year, that potential in reach where you want to reach. And when people come back, they have that urgency that they want to get to where they were. Then there's some people that say it's good to have a new fresh slate, because it's junior hockey. It's kind of different than playing pro hockey. But was it imperative for the Eagles to have a lot of returners, or was that a priority you were thinking of? Or
no, it was definitely something I was thinking about. I think it's an imperative of an aspect as anything can be. I think at the end of the day, you can find players that may be as good as the ones that are returning. But the beautiful thing about having kids back is this: last year, we can backtrack to last year. New coach. Some new players, a lot of new players, but obviously all new players with a new coach. And then you go back and you start thinking about that for a second. You've got new coach, new systems, new way of doing things. Everything's different. So really, when you start out like this, it's not just, hey, we had 8 returning kids. Or I think we started the year at 6 returning kids last year. Now, these 12 kids coming back, they know what to expect. They know how I operate. They know what my rules are. They know what I like to do. They know system wise what I like to do. So now, going into the times when I was at Lake State as a coach, when you have a lot of upperclassmen and a lot of returning players, you can spend a lot more time on more intricate things, not just teaching the basic in zone or the forecheck or the mid zone, that kind of stuff. Now you can work on that, but now you can do a lot of more intricate, detailed type things. And I think that's where, where you have returning kids, that's where you find that benefit.
Especially with goaltending, right? Because you have your goaltender from last year is returning this year, right? Which I think defensive, this might be an old cliche, but defense first. I think defense wins championships. That's the first philosophy that I believe.
If you know anything about me, you know how I was kind of coached here. I mean, that was all about what we did. So I agree.
The goaltender, you have your goaltender coming back, which was huge because how he finished the year strong last year.
Shane Brancato.
Yes.
Yeah, Shane Brancato. And I'll tell you what, like Shane, he started out east and he came back and he struggled when he first got here too. So, because I think he was really pushing himself too hard. Once we got him calmed down and him understanding that it's okay, just come and play and have fun, right? Like, listen, it's still a sport. You're supposed to still have fun with this.
Yeah.
You got to work hard, and it starts to become a little bit of a business at junior hockey. But boy, I tell you what, it doesn't matter if it's hockey or radio advertising or radio broadcast. You still got to have fun with it, right? Or
what's the point if you don't have fun?
Yeah. So Shane came in, and with the rough start he had, he still finished the year with, I think it was a 2.75 and a 920 save percentage.
Awesome.
Those are good numbers.
Junior, especially getting all the shots you're getting in a game.
So we're and coming back and going into this camp that we came through. I mean, we have, if I want, we have 4 returning D, and then
that's huge.
But I might move one of my D back up to forward, Kyle Quinn. And because
he played both last year,
he did, and because we got some really good defensemen in camp right now, so that we've picked, so I can afford to move Kyle Brett back up to forward and still not lose anything on D. So I'm excited about this.
Doug Laprade joining us on the game, head coach for the Soo Eagles. Doug, can you give names of some of the returning players? Let's start with the defense. You said 4 solid defensemen. Who are some of those players that are coming back this year?
Yeah, well, I can definitely give names. Hayden Clark. This will be the third year with the team. Yeah. He's, he went to a couple North American League camps. He did pretty good, but, he decided that he thought he would play more here and develop more. I mean, you got to play to get better, obviously. Yep. So we have him coming back. Richard Bulware, who got just vastly improved over the year last year. He was a first-team All-State high school player out of Trenton, which plays in the best high school league in Michigan. So he came in and struggled a little bit, but by the end of the year was really doing very well. And then Cam Parrott, he's our third returning D, and then of course Kyle Quinn is the person I spoke of later. And Cam Parrott is a really good stay-at-home, big body, strong, tough kid.
Still a young guy, too.
Yeah, he's only an 01, so he's just graduated from high school, so he still has 3 years of junior hockey left. So
that's awesome.
So those 3, and then like I said, we traded for a kid out of the Manitoba Junior League. Malik Ali, his name is, and he big, strong kid. And then we have another kid that comes in from the Chicago Young Americans, 6'5", 220 pounds, big, strong kid.
That's the Eagles hockey right there.
And we need it. There are a couple teams in our league that we need that physicality on, and we've got it.
Bruno must have had that connection, especially with the Chicago side, right? Must have got the information for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And some of the forwards, Doug, you've mentioned a couple. Who are some of the forwards coming back from last season, and other names that you can discuss?
Well, one of our best forwards coming back, my English here, probably the best forward we had coming back, or that finished the year last year, was Dominic Scarella.
Yeah.
He's coming back, and that'll be humongous for us. He's going to be the captain of our hockey team. He had, I think, 22 goals in the last, I think he played 36 games, 38 games for us. My numbers may be off, but
pretty close. Yeah.
But just turned into a completely solid hockey player, a leader of the team.
Two-way player too.
Yeah, and so
huge now.
we have a couple, 3 Sioux Ontario kids, Caleb Wood, Ralph Praisner, and Owen Shire. Those kids are going to contribute. I mean, you know, obviously nice to have local kids because I consider Sioux Ontario local, obviously.
Yep.
And then we have we mentioned Kyle Quinn, who we're going to play either D or forward. And then Ryan Dax and George Ofanis are back. And you know, Ryan's a good, solid defensive player. Doesn't get beat too often in his D zone. Very good penalty killer. And I could tell you, George Ofanis right now, the way he looks, he may be one of the best players in this league. I mean, his
progression's been amazing to watch.
He's 6'4". He skates like a pro. He can shoot. He scored some goals this past weekend. That it was just I'm really excited to have the kid back. So we're really excited about those kids. Jake Lamberty, probably the best penalty killer in the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League last year. He'll be back, and obviously he'll resume that role right away. So
he's a pesky player. I always like to say pesky. He's one of those players that get under the other team's
Well,
skin.
He's the kind of kid that you want on your team, right?
Exactly.
Not to play against.
Right. You don't want him against. I mean, we've had coach from the Soo Thunderbirds. You know, Johnny. He was JP. He loves the kid. He hates playing against him, but he's told me that number of times. I wish he was on my team. So I mean, he's a good kid. He's a great worker. He's so we've got some great returning, and then obviously we mentioned Shane already. So those are our returners. One of the best things I think happened this weekend is we were able to sign a local kid who played for the Eagles a couple of years ago, but Bobby Price is back.
He looked good this weekend.
Bobby Price is a good hockey player, and
former Soo High Blue Devil.
Yeah, I coached him in Soo High, and now he's back, and he had probably 2 points a game in training camp, and our camp was pretty good this past weekend. It was competitive, it was physical, so it was nice to have him, and so he'll be back. So that's kind of, to me, a returning player also, so yeah, those are kind of that's the summary of the returners.
See, things that people like with the NOJHL and Soo Ontario and Michigan's, the border battle is absolutely huge. There's older rivalries in the NOJHL, including the Beavers and Thunderbirds, another one, but there's nothing like the border battle between the Thunderbirds and the Eagles. And this year, and last year was strong too. You guys played very strong against them. Likewise, the MD was always a good hockey game, despite if it was here or if it was at the John Rhodes Community Center. Now, how excited are you to be a part of year 2 this year with the border battle, which might even step it up a notch from last year, if that's fair to say?
I'll actually be honest with you. I'm not all excited about it. I think it has so much hype that it kind of gets in the way of the hockey, truthfully. Yeah. I think at some points, I think it's a fantastic thing for the phenomenal things for the fans. I think that's the best part about it. I think sometimes that rivalry, that US Canadian thing is a detriment. I think for both teams. I really do. I think guys get way out of control on it. And now, that being said, is it a good thing for the fans and a good thing for the league? Absolutely. It is. There's no question. But we had some just flat out dumb games with them last year, and we didn't have those games with really anybody else. So now, you've got 16 to 20-year-old kids, and they're gonna have their emotions run wild, and so that happens. There's nothing you can do about it. That's hockey. That's sports. So you're gonna get those types of games, but it seems to happen a little bit more with them, and that's a respectful thing, in my opinion. I'm not saying that in a way where I don't think. How do I say this? It's not their fault, and it's not our fault. It's just a competitive nature. I think if you look at a Pee Wee AAA or AA game, I think it's probably the same way. Soo Michigan, Soo Ontario.
Same thing.
So that part of it is for the league and for the fans. I think it's wonderful. So exciting, and they'll always be good. They've got a great coach, and he knows what he's doing, and that town over there has some fantastic hockey players. So they'll be good again. I don't know who they have on their team or who's back, but
listen to the next segment. We'll tell you.
Okay, they'll be good. I'm sure they'll be very good.
Soo Eagles head coach Doug Laprade joining us on the game. Doug, couple things I wanted to mention here before we let you go. New this year for the Eagles is the ability to have affiliate players through several other teams. Tell us about that.
Well, it's an interesting situation that has popped up because any team in the Northern Ontario Hockey League or any other junior hockey league for that matter in Canada has the ability to have as many as 19 affiliate hockey players.
Right.
And those affiliate hockey players can come from anywhere. Most of the time they'd come from AAA teams, midget teams. They could come from, I know JP took kids from the midget minor team last year, my nephew being one of them.
Right.
Tyler Dunbar, and he's going to play again over there for JP again this year. And so you can take these kids and play them in the playoffs and play them as much as you want. Where that's a great thing for our junior hockey team is you've got the ability to rest some players. If some kids are injured or if you've maybe got some discipline problems, that happens, unfortunately, you have players to play. In the past, every Michigan, or excuse me, every US based junior hockey team that's played in a Canadian based junior hockey league has not been able to have affiliate players. There are 6 teams in that category. There's a team in the British Columbia League that's hails out of Alaska. There's us. There's Buffalo, which is in the Ontario Provincial League. And then there are 3 teams in the Superior International League. We went to USA Hockey. We got a meeting with them and we were able to secure 6 affiliate players this year. So that's huge for us because we have a AAA team here. Unfortunately, we cannot use the high school team. And I think there are good enough players. I know there are good enough players on that team to use, but the Michigan high school, MSHA, they, once you leave and play for somebody else, they won't allow you back. So when their season ends, we can pick them up. But at this point right now, we'd have to use kids out of the midget team. Now we don't have to use the Sioux Indians. We could use we could use a AAA team in Sioux, Ontario. We could use AAA team in Lansing or Detroit. It doesn't matter. Whichever kids we want to affiliate, we can. And that's huge for us because if you remember at the end of last year, weren't a lot
of scratches, healthy scratches.
We had a great second half. I mean, we were the second best team in the league record wise, in the second half of last year. I mean, we had 4 injuries in playoffs and we ended up losing in 6 games to Sudbury. Well, we had 2 concussions and I think it was 3 broken feet or something like that, or 1 concussion and 3 broken feet. So foot, whatever. So
feet, foot, plural.
So having them play, it just wasn't the same team. So this year we will be able to have healthy kids, albeit not kids that played for us all year, but healthy kids, and that'll help us huge. It's going to be huge for us.
Final question for you, Doug, before we let you go. The NLJHL Showcase, which has been played in the greater Sudbury area over the past few years. Well, it's got a new venue, Big Bear Arena this year, starting October 15th and 16th. Every NLJHL team will be here playing a pair of games. Tell us about that. That's a big deal.
Well, it's huge, and it's huge for our town. I mean, you've got 11 hockey teams coming into our town, booking hotel rooms, eating at restaurants, drinking at bars, getting gas. I mean, you name it, right? Having lunch. It's huge. That's 24 kids. A busload of kids, a busload of some coaches, and all the parents that follow suit, right? And it's a real central area. I mean, Sudbury is not quite central. You go to Cochrane and some of those teams over there. That's not a real close trip. Sure. I mean, it's a lot closer for them to come here than it is there. So Bruno Bragagnola, our general manager, did a great job, and we've already heard from some Division I teams that are going to come and watch. The Division III teams love our league, but the Division I teams have really never come to our showcase. We've already got about a half dozen Division I teams that have confirmed they're coming and they're going to watch the games, and that's the best thing, right? Because that's for the kids. And our league, in the last few years, it's incredibly improved. So those guys coming to watch these games are going to be impressed by the hockey.
Soo Eagles head coach Doug Laprade joining us on the game. The Eagles will start their regular season on September 7th against the Soo Thunderbirds at the John Rhodes Community Center, and the first home game will be on Saturday, September 21st at Puller Stadium against the same Thunderbirds. You can hear Soo Eagles games with myself for the first time on the radio and color commentator Larry Pozzebon on ESPN 1400 this season. Doug, thanks for coming in. Always good to talk hockey, and we love talking more. Thanks for joining us and looking forward to the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Anytime, if you'd like me to come back, I'd be happy to.
We'll invite him back, Dave.
I think so. And you'll be seeing me around the rink a lot, too. We'll be talking lots.
Awesome. Perfect.
Right. Thanks, Doug. That's going to do it for this segment of the game. We'll come back here in about 2 minutes here on ESPN 1400.
Hey, it's Craig here from Rodenroth Motors. Mark your calendar. Rodenroth Motors is sponsoring a Chevy Open House Friday, August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Steve Rodenroth will be showcasing his grilling skills. So grab a brat, a burger, a dog, and a bag of chips on us. Tyler will be running a prize wheel, giving away great gifts like kayaks, coolers, and much more. All the wonderful dedicated employees will be assisting with a cold beverage and a warm smile. We want to thank all the great people here in beautiful Sault Ste. Maria, along with the surrounding communities, for their continuous support. And if you drive one of those other brands, that's okay. We'll still buy you lunch, and maybe someday you'll drive a Chevrolet and become a member of our family. So come on out to our Chevy Open House here at Rodenroth Motors and have lunch on us Friday, August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and take home some great prizes. And let us thank you for all you've done for us. It's what makes Above the Bridge better. This Friday, August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Chevy, find new roads.
When it comes to your family's medical equipment needs, you want the best care possible. Arfstrom Pharmacy Equipment and Supplies is here to help. The caring and knowledgeable staff will take the time to get to know their customers, understand their needs, and help them on a path to better health.
Hi, this is Andrew Miller, manager of Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies. We truly want to be a trusted healthcare resource that cares for you and your family. We are always looking to carry new and improved products to enhance your daily living. We are now stocking the Hurricane Freedom Edition, the all-terrain cane, the cane that stands alone. Also, we proudly stock BioFreeze professional strength topical pain reliever and gel, roll-on, and spray options. The professional strength formula contains more of the active ingredient menthol, providing an improved and longer-lasting therapeutic effect compared to the original formula found at other retailers. Stop in and see why so many people choose Arfstrom to be their medical equipment and supplies provider.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies is part of Arfstrom Pharmacy, a locally owned Health Mart pharmacy, ACHC accredited, located at 409 Ashman Street, downtown Sioux, Michigan. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason back here on Hour 1, Segment 2 of the game. Continue to be joined by Dave McCaig here in studio. A great interview with head coach Doug Laprade of the Soo Eagles. I'm ready for hockey season. I know it's the beginning of August, but got to see a little bit of the training camp this weekend. Just, it's good to be around, and here we go again, Dave.
That's why I was saying wow before we went to commercial break. If people were wondering why I was just saying wow randomly, it's because time is just flying by. This summer just blanked. It seems like hockey season just finished. Now it's just starting again. Can't believe it, but excited, like you said.
Very excited, Dave. A few other local sports notes we want to get to in this segment. Last Tuesday on the Game Sports Show over in Sioux, Ontario on TV, we talked to Soo Thunderbirds head coach John Parco about the upcoming season, and there's been quite a few signings by the T-Birds. New players this year include Brock Santa Maria. He did play a few games last year, so he's not a new player, but he wasn't a regular on that team. Another player from the minor midget team, Stephen Pishinecki. I think I got that name right. I apologize if I got that one wrong. Just 15 years old, along with another AAA midget out of the Sioux Indians, 16-year-old Cooper Schmiel. Another new player for the Thunderbirds signed out of Echo Bay, Chase McIntyre. And then we talked about some of these guys last week, Dave. Nick Smith, Camden Finlay, Avery Rebick, Nolan Ford, Tristan Cicello, and goaltender Colin Ahern also back with the Soo Thunderbirds. So here we go. Their tryout camp will be here in a couple weeks, and we'll be talking T-Birds hockey on the game as well. Your thoughts on some of those guys? They're
definitely good signings. I got to give a little special shout out to Anthony Miller. He was the individual who did all the graphics for those posts on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Definitely very attractive and good little clickbait there for this Thunderbirds Facebook page. Give them a follow. Clickbait.
Never heard that one. Is that a new term?
That's not really that new, but to you it is.
I'm out of it in the social media realm.
Good little clickbait. So, that's what we'll call Anthony Miller from now on, but good frequent listener of the show. But the signings that they made were effective to their team. They have a good amount of guys return as well. They got a good pool to select from in Soo, Ontario. As Doug Laprade just attested to before we went to break, was the hockey players over in Soo, Ontario. It's not that they're better than here in Soo, Michigan. Not saying that at all. But for some reason, I don't know if it's something in our water or just being a hockey town itself, there's a lot of talent over there in Soo, Ontario, and a lot of good development coaches in there. Alex Cruz being one, Jamie Henderson being really involved in the hockey community. There's a lot of individuals that are really involved in the hockey community in Soo, Ontario, and a lot of talent to choose from, and also around the surrounding areas. And the Soo Thunderbirds have the resources definitely to reach out and get these players, help develop these players. And obviously their name is definitely very spectacular. You know, T-Bot has been around for a long time, stands for Thunderbirds on top, been around for a long time. They've been a successful organization. This year, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, they have a good amount of returning guys. They brought in some new, young, fresh, eager, young talent, as I would say numerous times. Very excited to see what team that they could ice for sure when the first game comes on the corner against the Eagles.
Moving on to the Soo Greyhounds, Dave, a couple notes from them over the past week. One of their players is participating for Team Canada in the National Summer Under-18 team that will be playing in the Czech Republic and Slovakia August 5th through the 10th. So that started today. Ryan O'Rourke from the Soo Greyhounds, one player involved. And, you know, you've always had a lot of nice things to say about O'Rourke. Nice opportunity for him.
Definitely is. You know, there's a lot of fans, you know, that are really, really excited and really have a lot of high expectations for Ryan O'Rourke. And he is a potential first round pick in the National Hockey League when his draft comes around, just like Jaromir Pitlick is going to be this year, in my opinion, with the Hounds. But Ryan O'Rourke getting that invite is just a stepping stone for himself to really showcase himself to those scouts. Those type of tournaments, let's just say that the stands, there's fans there, but there's just as many scouts as there are fans. That could be other NCAA schools. Not that he's obviously going to go that route, but I'm just going with the ranks. They got NCAA scouts there. They got OHL. They got AHL. They got the KHL, the NHL. Everything is just full of scouts in those types of tournaments. And to watch those players are the point of being at that tournament in attendance. And O'Rourke is going to be a special talent. I've said it time and time again on this show. He will be a number one defenseman on the Hounds. He will be at least a first or second team All-Star in the Ontario Hockey League. Maybe not this year, definitely next year, if not this year. But the promise for this kid is absolutely amazing, along with a lot of the other young talents on the team.
So Greyhounds will have their training camp later this month. Their first exhibition game scheduled for August 30th in Sudbury, and their first home game Friday, September 20th against the Flint Firebirds at Memorial Gardens. And you can hear all Soo Greyhounds games on our sister station, Rock 101 with Jerry Liscombe Jr. Dave, we are 1 week away from the official beginning of the high school sports practice season here in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and the state of Michigan, as the football practices will begin next Monday. Cross-country volleyball and boys soccer will start on Wednesday, August 14th. And the Michigan High School Athletic Association advises players, coaches, and parents to beware of the hot weather. And we have had some hot weather here. Obviously, we don't get the humidity and the heat that we do downstate. But last week when we talked to Matt Pocket, the EUP Game of the Week voice of the EUP Game of the Week, whichever way you want to say it. I did that twice there.
It's good.
I don't know if you caught that.
It sounded scripted, but
nothing scripted on the show, mister. There's no script we follow. Maybe an outline of one, but no script, actually.
We don't. That's
Matt unveiled the EUP Game of the Week schedule starting on August 30th. You can hear all these games on our sister station, Oldies 93, starting August 30th, with Crystal Falls Forest Park taking on Pickford at the Purple Palace in Pickford. September 6th, Pickford at Engadine. September 13th, Rapid River at Rudyard. September 20th, Rudyard at Brimley. September 27th, Rudyard at Pickford. A lot of EUP rivalry games in this mix. October 4th, Cedarville at Pickford. October 11th, Rudyard at Cedarville. October 18th, Engadine at Rudyard. And October 25th, Pickford at Brimley. And of course, the team out of that group, Pickford, made it all the way to the 8-player championship game last year, fell a bit short, but they return a lot of players, and they got a good chance to make it again, Dave.
Definitely difficult, especially when you have so many teams involved, right? To get to that state is definitely an accomplishment for the program, and to have returning players. We said it a lot just on our previous segment as well. If you have those returning guys, it is imperative, is the word I like to use, because it's just a stepping stone for the organization, and also players come back with a little bit of a vengeance that they didn't get that other step higher that they wanted to be.
Reached out to a broadcaster on the station, Dave Watson, who will be doing Soo High Blue Devil Sports. Football season starts on August 30th. Dave, in his 15th year of doing Soo High Blue Devil games, in his 22nd year of broadcasting. Hard to believe.
Oh,
he's a lot older than me, apparently, even though we graduated around the same time, because I don't have that much experience.
Loads of experience.
That's right. Dave's going to be our guest next week here on The Game, talking about Soo High Blue Devil football, which you can hear on WSOO 12:30 a.m. Soo High's schedule starts at home August 30th against Sheboygan. Then they travel to Alpena to take on the Wildcats. That was terrible. September 7th.
I love it.
The announcer in Alpena would always, in the hockey, would go, the Wildcats.
Okay.
That was even terrible twice now.
They'll
be at home September 13th against Marquette. Home against Petoskey on September 20th. A Saturday afternoon game, September 28th against Ogama Heights. Then they'll travel to Gladstone October 4th. Rogers City at home October 11th. Ludington, a new team on the schedule, October 18th at home, and then at Gaylord, October 25th. So you look at that schedule, Dave, you got 6 of the 9 games at home. You need 6 wins in the Michigan High School Athletic Association to get into the football playoffs. All Soo High has to do is run the table at home. They make the playoffs. It's that simple.
It is that simple. You're at home, you should win, right?
Well,
don't let the fans down, no?
It doesn't always
Just
work
kidding.
that way. Doesn't always work that way, Dave.
Does not always
we'll
work
have 2
that way.
Daves at the same time. That's going to be very confusing for me.
You might have to go by the nickname for me.
I think
Go by the Kegger nickname for that one so you don't get confused. Dave what? Dave what?
Dave, one of the things I wanted to talk about with you, and we covered it on your show Tuesday night, which you can find at thegamesportshow.com, talking about the cost of athletics and the Michigan High School Athletic Association. We're also going to talk about this with our next guest, Butch Davis from the Metro Detroit area. But Michigan High School Athletic Association did a survey again this season talking about sports participation fees, or pay to play, as some people say. Half the schools in the state of Michigan now have a participation fee, which is pretty much the same. Now, for the purposes of this survey, a participation fee was anything $20 or more, regardless of what the school called the charge. So this includes transportation fees, insurance fees, registration fees. And this is something that we've seen more and more in the state of Michigan, more pay to play. And we talked about it on your show on Tuesday night, just talking about the cost for parents to have their children play sports. Hockey being what we talk about a lot on this show.
Yep.
I mean, you look at just to play high school hockey, there's a participation fee. There's a lot of fees. To play 3-year-old hockey, there's a lot of fees. Just your input as far as pay to play sports in Soo, Ontario.
See, and you and I were only able to talk about it for about 8 minutes on Tuesday.
We don't got that long now.
No, we don't. We don't. But for the one topic we were saying now on Tuesday, that we talk about that for hours, I think, in matter of opinion. And I wish I could go around town in Soo, Ontario, and also here in Soo, Michigan, to get everyone's opinion about it, because the way it was when I started playing hockey, and I know I get kind of little chirps when it comes to me talking about the past when I played. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just going by what I recall here from my parents. I'm sure my parents will text me if I'm incorrect, because they're the ones that are paying for me to play hockey. But you have the situation in Soo, Ontario, where fees were not really big when I was younger, especially when it comes to junior hockey. When I first played junior hockey and signed in the Blind River Beavers organization, I didn't have to pay. It was a simple, there was an NOJHL fee, I believe, for $250. Okay, something around that area. My last year, up to my last year where I actually stopped playing with the Beavers, I went back to Blind River for my last year, the fee was $1,500 just for the team and $500 for the league. Now, that was in 2010, 2011, 12, around that area. I forget my last year off the top of my head. But you have a situation where junior hockey is expensive. Now, the minor hockey is now where it's getting ridiculous. The Soo Pee-wee used to be just a minor fee, and they used to supply equipment, good, reliable equipment. I'm sorry, the equipment that they rely on now is not good. I'm the only goalie that used to actually ask to use the Cooper pads when I went net. Everyone wants better equipment, safer equipment. Now they're taking out the
Cooperalls.
Use the Cooperalls.
That ages me.
They take out the body checking out of the sport now, especially in hockey. It's got to be later because of risk of concussions. There's just a lot of protocols that just seem really out of place, especially in Soo, Ontario, that the fees are going up for basketball right now because the Raptors won the championship. When the Jays were hot, when they had Mount Crushmore, they were literally they couldn't get a team. You couldn't get on a team because the waiting list was high. When the Leafs are doing well, in Ontario and Soo Ontario, that's where it's booming. And they are doing well now. But I mean,
really?
if they have deep runs, if they actually can get past the Boston Bruins in the first round.
I wasn't going to go there,
but popularity. It was a hockey town in Soo Ontario prior. Now it isn't as much. Everyone is doing different sports, but the reason why they're doing soccer more is because soccer is a very affordable fee. It's $500, I believe, and that gets you new gear. That gets you over 20 games. That gets you really involved. There's multiple tournaments locally. It's $500. Hockey is outrageous in general. Sports are outrageous in general. And they need to come up with a better plan to help get this enrollment back up and to also try to intrigue people to come back, because single parents, jobs are harder to get. We can go into a lot more things right now. And to really wrap it up, it's really expensive. And they have to come with a different plan, or else we're really going to keep losing popularity. Exhibit A, AAA hockey system. This means no offense to my friends Alex Cruz and Jamie Henderson. Great people, great coaches, but they definitely are struggling against teams from out of town because they're not being able to draw from the same talented players. But the development camps are there, but they're just not able to get the same amount of enrollment as previously.
And, on this side, Dave, from a high school sports perspective, and I do have background a little bit in the administration of sports and working with the Michigan High School Athletic Association, when they first conducted this survey back in 2003, 2004, about a quarter of the schools in the state of Michigan charge participation fees, and now it's over half, and it really has no sign of slowing down because the budgets as they are,
it's a business.
It is a business, and money does not come to the schools maybe like it once did. And I know when participation fees were first brought up, I mean, there was quite an outrage by the parents, like thinking, wow, we have isn't this supposed to be part of the school experience? Isn't it supposed to be, back when I was in high school, not to age myself, but there wasn't participation fees.
Nope,
if you were good enough to play sports, you played. And, you had to, some overnights and pay some hotels. But you look at somebody that plays hockey, starting at 3 years old. I mean, you still have to get a lot of equipment, and these kids grow, and they grow fast. I'm firsthand can account for that. Yeah, my kids play basketball instead of hockey, but there's so much that goes into it with ice time, with pads, with travel. I mean, even house league now, they travel, and there's lots of tournaments out of town, whereas before house league kind of stayed there and maybe had one tournament out of town, the UP championships. So there's just a lot more, things for parents to have to buy. And, we don't live in a very economically blessed area. I mean, we're very middle class here in the Eastern Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
And both, I'd say in Soo Ontario as well.
Yeah, working class.
There's some successful individuals, obviously, like there is everywhere.
We're not the Bloomfield Hills Cranbrooks of the world, where it's not an easy thing to do. So I don't see this going away as far as the cost of sports. I don't think it's anything that's getting better, but I think that local organizations need to look a little more at making it more affordable. I mentioned this on your show, the Sioux Michigan Hockey Association. They do rental equipment. Obviously, it's not top of the line equipment, but it's something, where at least a player can, participate in a sport if their parents don't have the economic resources to do so. Something we're going to be talking about, I think, Dave, for a while here on the game.
See, one thing I called it was the frequent fees, double Fs, and it's participation fee, enrollment fee, team fee, league fee, equipment fee. This what it used to just be, just a administration fee, and that was it. Whatever happened to the main point of wanting to do this? Fun. Whatever happened, it seems like it's such a business. The dads at the rink when I was younger used to be the ones banging on the glass yelling. Now it's the mothers. The mothers are 10 times worse than the fathers.
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, but
You're on your own, pal.
I'm going to say that because I've been inside those rinks, and it's different now. Just everything is different when it comes to the hockey rinks. It just feels like it's so competitive. Playing men's league baseball, especially against the only team that I really have a fun time playing against, and this is no offense to anyone else, but is the Rangers, the Skinner's Garage Rangers, tonight, and those guys, because it's fun. That's why we're there playing men's league. If it's down to house league, you're there to have fun. Yes, you want to go somewhere. Heck, everyone wants to go to the NHL. Okay, but the main reason somebody gets there is the want to do it. How do you have the want to do it? Got to want to be there. How you want it to be there? You're having fun.
One way people can get involved, Dave, we get involved by getting it out on the radio and online. Join your local hockey association board.
Yes.
That's how
make a difference.
Make a difference. It's easy to be on the internet and make comments in the comment section and everything else. It's another thing to actually get out there and do it. So I would encourage those that want to make a difference, get out there, be on a board,
Or come on our show and give us your opinion.
Sure,
Let's
do that
too. I know there's one guy named EJ Russell just yelled some words in the background, and all of a sudden he's on our show.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Great
he is.
choice, though.
Absolutely. A couple Lake State notes here, Dave, before we go to our next break. We're expected to be joined by Butch Davis from Butch On Sports in the Metro Detroit area. He's going to have a lot to say about the Tigers, Lions, and more. I mentioned this a little bit last week, but the Lake Superior State University women's basketball program has announced the hiring of a new assistant coach, Cameron Clayton. He will serve as the lead assistant for the Laker women's basketball program. He comes from the University of Illinois Springfield, where he served as an assistant coach for the women's basketball team since 2016. While serving as assistant coach there, he assisted with the scouting of upcoming opponents and implementing strategies in practice. He was also responsible for development and training of post players. He's coached multiple Great Lakes Valley Conference all-conference honorees, including the 2018-2019 GLVC all-freshman team. In addition, post players he coached moved on to first place in program history for single-season rebounds, single-season blocks, and career blocks. And one of his student athletes also set the single-game rebound record for the Prairie Stars. He's a graduate of McMurray College with a bachelor's degree in sports management, a native of Edinburgh, Illinois, and resides in Sault Ste. Marie. So welcome to Coach Clayton. We'll hopefully get him on the game as he joins Coach Brandon Locken in a program that's improving. It's been down for a while, but there's signs that it's moving up there. And, of course, the men's program under head coach Steve Headinga, well, that program's always up there, Dave.
It's always up there. Lake State overall is so – being the NCAA and having the expectation of a Division I program, and the pressures are there as itself right now. And every program you want to see succeed, and to be successful, you're going to have the right people at the helm, and they most certainly do at Lake State, especially on the management and coaching side. Finally,
Dave, here in this segment, the 2019-2020 Lake Superior State University hockey season ticket packages are out. You can go to LSSULakers.com for more information. 18 regular season home games and 3 potential playoff games. Season tickets, $225 per ticket, and it can, again, be accessed online at LSSULakers.com, as the Lakers will start their 54th season on Saturday, October 5th and Sunday, October 6th against Merrimack College. We're going to take a break here on the game. When we come back, we're going to talk Detroit sports with Butch Davis from Butch On Sports, who will join us to get us up to date on everything going on in Detroit and more. That's coming up next on the game here on ESPN 1400.
Overacting?
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing.
Underacting.
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead.
It doesn't take a theater director to tell the difference between overacting and underacting, but it's not as easy knowing whether you're overinsured or underinsured. A low rate isn't a good thing if everything you hold dear, your family, your home, your future, isn't protected properly. That's why you have Farm Bureau of Michigan agent Dean Garlinghouse to take the drama out of making sure you have the coverage you need. Insurance is Dean's life. Trust your future to Dean Garlinghouse to avoid poor coverage.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, a most excellent fancy.
Oy. So you can get on with your life. Call Dean Garlinghouse at Farm Bureau Insurance today.
O'Connor's Chrysler Dodge Truck and Jeep in Pickford is your full-service dealership, servicing Pickford and the surrounding areas with pride for more than 50 years. O'Connor's top-notch body shop includes a state-of-the-art frame straightener. O'Connor's is also a proud supporter of community events. Its sales team has the experience to know which model is right for each customer. And with financing available to back your purchase, you can drive away today in your dream vehicle. Local people, local pride. Stop in today on M129 at O'Connor.
Reed Metals in Dafter, family owned and operated for over 35 years, is your honest, main source, one-stop metal recycling business serving northern Michigan. Bring your unwanted scrap metal or scrap vehicles to Reed Metals, and they'll print you a check. Reed Metals is open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Reed Metals will pay you for items like scrap vehicles, heavy equipment, catalytic converters, radiators, vehicle batteries, aluminum rims, copper, brass, lead, tin, autocast, aluminum, steel, and many more types of recyclable metals, and they'll print you a check with your name on it. Reed Metals is the place that will give you great service and an honest price without surprise fees or deductions at the scale. Visit reedmetals.com or call 906-632-0018. Bring it in or have it hauled, and Reed Metals will print you a check with your name on it. Reed Metals, located just 11 and a half miles south of the Soo on South Mackinac Trail.
Hey, did you go out for breakfast?
Yep, got a sausage McMuffin with egg from McDonald's, melty cheese, and a buttery English muffin. You?
Cereal. Just dry cereal.
You know, that kind of looks like what we feed the parakeet.
Yeah, it's probably why he's giving me the stink eye.
Good thing I got a McMuffin for you, too.
There's a better way to breakfast.
Whether you're hitting the road or hitting the ground running, wake up with an Egg McMuffin, made with a fresh cracked egg at your local participating McDonald's.
You can catch podcasts of the game at thegamesportshow.com. Now let's get back to it with Scott Nason here on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios of ESPN on 3 Mile in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Dave McCaig will rejoin us for hour 2 of the game. Again, the game, a full 2-hour show, local, regional, and national sports. We'll also be joined in hour 2 by EJ Russell, and we're joined in hour 2 and right now by our next guest, weekly contributor and co-host. His name is Butch Davis. You can find him on his show, Butch On Sports, which you can find at the podcast page, simply Butch2. That's TOO.podomatic.com, or go to our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, to find his show, Butch On Sports, as he joins us each and every week to talk about what's going on in the Metro Detroit and sports world in general. Butch, how you doing on this Monday night, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Scott. How yourself?
I'm doing wonderful, Butch, as we have some thunderstorms that might be moving through quickly. Hopefully it won't get too much with the broadcast, but we're here to talk sports, not weather. And, well, let's talk about sports and what's going on in Detroit, starting with the Detroit Tigers. Made a lot of news during the trade deadline as far as getting rid of players on the field. Maybe not so much this weekend, getting swept by the Texas Rangers. They're set to take on the Chicago White Sox tonight at 7:10, in a game you can hear on our sister station, 1230 WSOO. Butch, tell us about what is going on with the Tigers. Obviously on the field, not so good, and, well, they've made a lot of moves off the field.
Well, you said it, I didn't, That's what's going on with the Detroit Tigers, boys and girls. They're not doing too much of anything here. They're now, implanting new kids from Toledo and parts unknown here in order to find out who's going to play and who's going to go. So really not too much to report about the Tigers. Very dull, very impatient of people because they're ready for football now. They don't want to talk about the losing Detroit Tigers anymore.
Yeah, Matthew Boyd, as you said last week, Butch, you thought he would stay. He does. Shane Green, Nick Castellanos, they do not, as they go to teams that are in more contention. Looking forward, Butch, where, if any, are there positives right now for Detroit Tiger fans? Are we talking a 3, 4, 5, 6 year rebuild, or just give us something positive on the Tigers if you have anything?
I don't have it. No, really and truly right now, it's all about the fans and what they demand to see in the upcoming months or the upcoming year here. That's really the big key of all this right now here because, again, patience can go only but so far. And I think the Tigers management expects people to wait 5 and 6 years for something to happen, and that's kind of very misogynistic in my opinion there. People want to see a good playing, running team. Now, this weekend we did not see that. We saw useless errors up and down the field on defense. We saw pitching that was non-existent. Again, having a lead, it was just pitiful. 69 games this year. Again, the Detroit Tigers had leads that they did not hold on to. And that's just personally pathetic there. Again, Jordan Zimmerman, the best maybe 4-inning pitcher they got there. Again, just flushed it down the toilet again, where basically, who do you put in? Who do you get? You know, what do you do? Really, the Tigers need to assess what they want to do the next 2 months and be very stable about it. I think the fans would appreciate that more instead of placing a guy at second base and the next game you're placing him in center field. I think that clown show is over right now, and people are very getting aggravated of seeing how the Tigers do on the field as well as in the front office.
Perfect segue into our next topic, Butch, the Detroit Lions, as the Lions are taking practice sessions with the New England Patriots ahead of their first exhibition game against the Patriots at Ford Field. Butch, lots of talk about the Lions, of course, this time of year always seems to be the best talk, the most positive talk for the Lions with some. What's your thoughts right now after a couple weeks of training camp on the Detroit Lions?
I don't know where you get the positive talk about this. There's nothing really to talk about. You're watching some people knock each other's brains out here, you know, for practice. No one's got cut yet. You know, we got a lot of trades and a lot of waves. Tavares McFadden, I should say, is cornerback. He's been added to the list. How long he stays until he has to go, we'll never know. But again, this week they have someone else to knock around. That's the New England Patriots starting today. They will share practices with the Detroit Lions up to Wednesday, and they'll have a game at Ford Field on Thursday before they get out of town by sundown there. It'll probably be the longest week for the Patriots, per se, because they're not at home sleeping in their own bed.
Indeed so, Butch. You know, looking at this NFC North division, a lot of teams on the up. The Bears had a great season last year going to the playoffs. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers. They're still good. The Vikings have a good defense and some weapons. Do the Lions have a realistic shot, in your opinion, to make the playoffs this year and win the division title? I know we don't like to do predictions too much, but do the Lions have a shot?
Well, that's why I don't like to do predictions there, because it's basically all the teams you mentioned there. They start off 0-0 just like the Detroit Lions. And until those particular games happen, you really don't know what to gauge there. You know, for people who get paid to kind of speculate or take guesses or think this particular quarterback or this particular player is going to put them over the top and they haven't played one game, it's just totally absurd there. So I don't really gauge everything by that particular. Maybe I'm just the only one. If not, I'm just, you know, I'll be the nerd about it there. But again, this is not exciting right now. They're practicing. Some of them are very enthusiastic to get an opportunity to play professional football, per se, and there's others just towing the line right now, trying to get through the training season until the actual real happenings start, and that's the beginning of the Labor Day weekend.
Butch, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about during our segment is a recent survey from the Michigan High School Athletic Association talking about member high schools and the continued increasement, I should say, of sports participation fees. Around half the schools in the state of Michigan now are having these fees, which include registration fees, insurance fees, transportation fees, and pay to play, many people will know. Dave and I talked about it locally here from the Soo Michigan and Soo Ontario perspective, but I wanted to get your thoughts on just the cost of sports for parents and their youngsters. I mean, this is something that's not going away. More and more parents are having to pay more and more fees, and it's getting harder and harder for many people to participate in sports, at least in my opinion. I want to get yours.
Well, here's the thing with me here, and I can only talk about me and how I came up in the system of Detroit public school system before my parents alleviated me to Catholic school there, and you got to see a whole heck of a lot of it in the private schools. Once upon a time, that's all you would see in the private school is to pay to play. That was very short-lived there. Now these days here, with the lack of respect that most schools, public and private, have with the conditioning and basically having gym, where that's disappearing left and right there until and I kind of very much so be sad, because again, as a parent, for me, it was very important that the schools recognize gym as an important class for the student, and it, you know, one parent can get out there, but you can influence a lot of other parents, and you put the pressure on the schools to have gym more than once a week, and organize gym at best. Many kids learn how to play baseball, learn how to swim, play football, learn how to engage in fruitful activities, mending points of view there. But again, that doesn't happen anymore. And right now, until parents stop it, it's going to continue to go. The average school, or the average child, I should say, down here in the Lower Peninsula, and I'll use football as an example, they pay about $126, okay, for a child. That's just the average. Some will be higher, some will be lower. Now in the city of Detroit, per se, and that's one example I'm going to use there, they have a system called the PAL League, okay? And the Police Athletic Association leagues, they get money from donations and other places there. So a child can't be somewhat disrupted by not being able to play because the parents can't afford to place them in there. So a lot of that fee, what I just mentioned, is alleviated. That fee may be $50, and most of that is for insurance purposes along with transportation. But again, the ridiculous price of a child playing, if you got a children of 4 in a family, they're going to pay about $1,000 a year. And that even, that's before Christmas. We're talking about the rest of the year or the rest of the school year they have not addressed. And that's a huge, huge toll on families who, want to see their children active, however, may not have all the monies to do that there.
Butch Davis joining us on the game, getting the Metro Detroit sports perspective. Butch, Detroit Pistons news. I see Andre Drummond isn't playing in the upcoming World Cup of basketball. Other than that, I haven't seen anything. Anything you can add?
That's a good deal. I just read that a few minutes ago before we went on the air. They have as many as 50 guys in the camp, okay? Yeah. And that's very absurd. You're going to send home 35 people and maybe keep on maybe some alternates, maybe a couple of alternates there to get the roster down to 15. That's a big joke here. But again, they're getting ready for the Olympics, so what can you say there? Pistons not doing anything, no news coming out of that camp. Players are enjoying the bulk of their summer months before they get with the program in the middle of September there. Same with the Red Wings per se there. Not too much, a lot of quietness right now there in those particular camps. You hear more about concerts right now in those venues than you hear about the Pistons or the Red Wings.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch, I always like to keep open a few minutes for anything else, from your perspective in the Metro Detroit area or any other sports topics you want to talk about. So the floor is yours. What else is going on?
The hot weather and the rain up north, but you know what? This week is going to be all right because I announced it on my show, and I don't know if you announced it on your show. On the 8th of the month, which is this Wednesday, ESPN, the Ojo is back.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, popular demand, 24 hours of sports that you just can't get enough of. The National Watermelon Eating Contest, a whole lot of other good junk there that basically you just don't get a whiff at. Jump roping, flop jar throwing contest. You name it, they'll have it on the Ojo this weekend. I can't wait. I mean, I'm stocking my shelves and everything in my house here, just for anticipation of snacks and stuff, boy. But that to me is a welcome addition to television, if I should say there.
Yeah, it's one where you want to DVR as much as you can if you have the capabilities. Some of these shows, Butch. What is your favorite of the ones that you just mentioned? Which one are you looking forward to the most? Have you participated in any of these sports, I should add, and which one are you looking forward to the most?
The marble shooting contest, yes. The one that I'm looking forward to, of course, is the dodgeball tournament and whatnot. And that should be pretty doggone exciting indeed. And they might run a couple of movies, the actual movie of dodgeball there. Of course, in its entirety, that would be pretty doggone whiff there. But the dodgeball contest and events, I'm waiting full-fledged for.
And Butch, one of the ones I see on there, and this is going to be my final question to you, because there's a debate on what this sport is called. You see where it's called cornhole to some, where you throw the bags into in the wood. Now others will call it bags. Butch Davis, is it cornhole or is it bags?
Bean bag throwing, as we call it in the streets in Detroit here. But they do this, you normally see that kind of action at, not drive-bys per se there, but tailgating particulars are there. You see the barbecue pit and the old cornhole throwing the bean bags in the hole and whatnot there. I'm quite sure that's going to be part of the Ojo as well there, but I don't know how they got the word cornhole. I've never seen them throw an ear corn in the hole of them.
I don't know if I want to know.
A bag of beans, whether they be pinto, maybe, or the Great North in there. A bag of beans. Why don't you just call it what it is? The bean bag throwing contest there.
I like it, Butch. And finally, since we have one more minute, you're tailgating, you're on the grill. You can only cook one thing. Butch Davis, what are you cooking?
I don't know. Hey,
I asked the tough questions.
I'm going for the kidney beans here.
There you go.
Right in the gut.
Butch Davis joining us on hour one of the game. Butch, stick around. Hour two coming up with myself, Dave McCaig, yourself, and EJ Russell. So stand by. We'll talk to you here in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. That's going to do it for hour one of the game. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We have hour two coming up. You are listening to the game online at thegamesportshow.com and on ESPN 1400.
Paul Thompson here with Gaylor Thompson Sales and Service, just off I-75 in Rudyard, inviting you to stop in and see the largest selection of equipment in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. To complement our full line of Mahindra tractors, we have trailers including goosenecks, dumps, cargoes, car haulers, and utility trailers. We also have a full line of lawn and garden equipment with Cub Cadet and Exmark. Over 50 mowers to choose from, a full line of parts, and we service what we sell. Looking for an outdoor wood or pellet furnace or parts? We stock water pumps, exchangers, spec supplies, and more. Also, check out our full line of Boss and Fisher snow and ice equipment. Here at Gaylor Thompson and Rudyard, we are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to noon for your convenience. Just off I-75 in Rudyard, 30 minutes from the bridge. If you need it, we have it. Give us a call at 906-478-3026. Hope to see you here.
The local housing market is competitive, and unless you have the right team in your corner, you might miss out on your dream home. That's why happy customers choose Old Mission Bank for their home mortgage needs. We provide quality service from the time you submit your application to closing and then through the entire life of your loan. Let our friendly, knowledgeable staff be your financial partner. Call or stop by to check out our competitive rates and all the other fast, simple solutions we offer at Old Mission Bank. We're located in Pickford and Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. FDIC insured, equal housing lender.
Mo at M&C Water Systems has a solution for all your water needs. Want clean, fresh drinking water? M&C Water Systems proudly distributes natural, artesian water for all your bottled water needs. Cooler rental and bottled water delivery for your home and office are available. M&C Water Systems delivers to all the local islands, too. Need a water filter? M&C has them. Need a softener? Drinking water system? Want to find out about reverse osmosis? Call Mo at M&C Water Systems today at 906-647-7307, serving the Eastern Upper Peninsula for over 25 years.
When it comes to your family's medical equipment needs, you want the best care possible. Arfstrom Pharmacy Equipment and Supplies is here to help. The caring and knowledgeable staff will take the time to get to know their customers, understand their needs, and help them on a path to better health.
Hi, this is Andrew Miller, manager of Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies. We truly want to be a trusted healthcare resource that cares for you and your family. We are always looking to carry new and improved products to enhance your daily living. We are now stocking the Hurricane Freedom Edition, the all-terrain cane, the cane that stands alone. Also, we proudly stock BioFreeze professional strength topical pain reliever and gel, roll-on, and spray options. The professional strength formula contains more of the active ingredient menthol, providing an improved and longer-lasting therapeutic effect compared to the original formula formula found at other retailers. Stop in and see why so many people choose Arfstrom to be their medical equipment and supplies provider.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies is part of Arfstrom Pharmacy, a locally owned Health Mart pharmacy, ACHC accredited, located at 409 Ashman Street, downtown Sioux, Michigan. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Overacting?
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing.
Underacting.
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead.
It doesn't take a theater director to tell the difference between overacting and underacting, but it's not as easy knowing whether you're overinsured or underinsured. A low rate isn't a good thing if everything you hold dear, your family, your home, your future, isn't protected properly. That's why you have Farm Bureau of Michigan agent Dean Garlinghouse to take the drama out of making sure you have the coverage you need. Insurance is Dean's life. Trust your future to Dean Garlinghouse to avoid poor coverage.
Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, a most excellent fancy.
Oy. So you can get on with your life. Call Dean Garlinghouse at Farm Bureau Insurance today.
O'Connor's Chrysler Dodge Truck and Jeep in Pickford is your full-service dealership, servicing Pickford and the surrounding areas with pride for more than 50 years. O'Connor's top-notch body shop includes a state-of-the-art frame straightener. O'Connor's is also a proud supporter of community events. Its sales team has the experience to know which model is right for each customer. And with financing available to back your purchase, you can drive away today in your dream vehicle. Local people, local pride. Stop in today on M129 at O'Connor.
Reed Metals in Dafter, family owned and operated for over 35 years, is your honest, main source, one-stop metal recycling business serving northern Michigan. Bring your unwanted scrap metal or scrap vehicles to Reed Metals, and they'll print you a check. Reed Metals is open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Reed Metals will pay you for items like scrap vehicles, heavy equipment, catalytic converters, radiators, vehicle batteries, aluminum rims, copper, brass, lead, tin, auto cast, aluminum, steel, and many more types of recyclable metals, and they'll print you a check with your name on it. Reed Metals is the place that will give you great service and an honest price without surprise fees or deductions at the scale. Visit reedmetals.com or call 906-632-0018. Bring it in or have it hauled, and Reed Metals will print you a check with your name on it. Reed Metals, located just 11.5 miles south of the Soo on South Mackinac Trail. Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason along with Dave McCaig here in studio for hour 2 of the game, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Our broadcast engineer tonight, Alyssa Bradley, in studio as well. We only have one line available on the phone. So normally we have a round table with 4 of us. We're going to split it up halfway through. Well, Butch Davis, who continues to join us from Detroit, and we'll have EJ Russell coming up at the bottom of the hour. So gentlemen, this is the portion of the show, the round table portion of the show, where we discuss topics in the world of sports. And Dave, since you are the last person that has been not talking, if that makes any sense, you get to be the first person talking and give your topic. Butch, I'll give you first crack, and then I'll try my best at it. So Dave McCaig, what is on your mind in the world of sports, my friend?
Me not talking. That almost doesn't fit in the same sentence, I don't think.
Right.
Scotty boy. Let's go to the route, fellas, of the MLB trade deadline. That is something that happened after last week's show. Still sort of a little bit of older news because it was on last Wednesday was the official deadline, but a lot of the new teams having their new faces and everything come in and full fruition this past weekend, especially with the Astros and Aaron Sanchez and Joe Biagini getting a combined no-hitter with the Astros. And also Derek Fisher not catching a fly ball in Camden Yards in Baltimore and again having to leave the game. Just a lot of things going on in the world of baseball. Let's jump into baseball.
Butch Davis, we talked a little bit about the Tigers, MLB free agency trade deadline. What are your thoughts?
You know, as I look at the World Series schedule, they announced today the postseason schedule there, and the World Series won't begin to October 22nd.
Oh.
You think it'll be snowing by then, or or get a stadium that does not have a roof on it? I don't know what to say, but the trade deadline, in one way or another, surprised me because there were so many teams that you thought they'd be participating in. Did not participate at all. We're talking about the Yankees, the Red Sox, maybe the Cleveland Indians per se, maybe mention them in the list. But the teams that you didn't think would basically do hardly anything because all they have to do is wait around and get players healthy, what the Houston Astros doing, it just blew everybody's mind. They got a fairly good veteran, good pitcher in Greinke there who also can hit. They did many things with their ball club to make it stronger and a lot more fitter in case they did run into that area of injuries and whatnot. It ran me pretty doggone well. Some clubs got better. The Cincinnati Reds, for instance. Puig is a very good player. Going to the Indians will make that team a lot better. But the Cincinnati Reds, they pick up some young talent there, and they're definitely getting better there. So it didn't surprise me a little. What surprised me most of all was the teams like the Yankees and also the Red Sox not too much participating, going along with what they have right now there.
Yeah, Butch, I agree with a lot of what you said there. I mean, you look at who won the trade deadline. I think Houston, obviously, with the additions they made, getting Zach Greinke to an already really good pitching staff with Justin Verlander and a 1-2-3 punch that is just amazing. And they picked up a couple other good pitchers in Aaron Sanchez and Joe Bagani. I like what Butch said about the Yankees. I mean, they stood pat, and their general manager, Mr. Cashman, there justified it by saying they didn't have a lot of options. And you look at that team, are they going to make the playoffs? Yes. Is Houston going to make the playoffs? Yes, barring a epic collapse. And you look at the team that was chasing them, Boston, all of a sudden now Boston doesn't look like maybe a sure shot to make the playoffs. After getting close to the wild card, they've fallen back over the last few days. The Dodgers were the one that really they had to get help in the bullpen, but they just couldn't get anybody to sign. The Mets stood pat, the Pirates, and their closer stood pat. I really expected the Dodgers. I mean, this may be the best team they've had, and they've had a lot of good teams, but they just can't find a closer, and that's cost them many times and will continue to cost them. It's hard to find good closers in Major League Baseball. They're few and far between. Looking at some of the other teams that are in contention, the Twins, they added a couple pitchers, but none that really jump off the page. The Cubs, who are in a dogfight in that NL Central, adding Castellanos along with some other players. I think they made some good moves. Atlanta. Watch out for Atlanta, getting Shane Green. He's one of those relievers that has pitched well for the Detroit Tigers, and they picked up some pitching. Atlanta, I think, is the team really to watch out for in that National League East. The Indians, obviously getting Yasiel Puig was a big deal, but they still have to catch Minnesota, and that's not guaranteed, although they're looking pretty good right now. And the Washington Nationals, another team, they made some pitching additions, but didn't do a whole lot. So I think Houston wins. Couple teams that stand pat, the Yankees and Dodgers, didn't help themselves too much. Dave McCaig, your thoughts on your own topic?
You see, when it comes to the trade deadline, everyone's also kind of forgetting that the non-waiver trade deadline as well that could potentially occur. But some of the moves that were surprised me, the ones that weren't made, and you did attest to that, the Yankees kind of staying quiet, the Red Sox staying quiet, the Dodgers staying quiet, but also gearing towards the Blue Jays here a little bit with some of the moves that they made. Yes, they did move out Stroman. Yes, they moved out Sanchez. Yes, they moved out Biagini. Yes, they made some moves. You look at Ken Giles, and everyone is wondering why Ken Giles wasn't moved at the trade deadline. Quite simple, and Scott just said it, why he wasn't moved, because it's hard to come by closers. Ken Giles would have got in a great little return, I think, especially if you wanted to look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, or even if they wanted to look at the Braves despite getting Green. But there's some moves that also weren't made on the Blue Jays end that were surprised by me. Justin Smoke. I don't know why they didn't think about moving Justin Smoke. I feel like the defensive kind of ability that Justin Smoke has would have been a big asset to a lot of teams, especially in the AL. I think Justin Smoke has some power on him as well. And in a lineup where he'd be surrounded by some other power, I think that would alleviate some pressure off of his shoulders. But the Blue Jays need to field the team as well. So when it comes to moves that were not made, the biggest one that caught a lot of the headlines was obviously Marcus Stroman's. Marcus Stroman was obviously traded a bit before the deadline and was traded to the New York Mets. And having Stroman go to the Mets was something that Stroman was not too pleased of. And I love his response saying that he got mad at the management of the Blue Jays for the way that they handled this trade and the way they handled this season. Nonetheless, Stroman's character, everyone asks why trade Stroman. He's young. He's got years left. Look, and everyone compares him to what Verlander did when he left the Tigers at a late time, goes to the Houston Astros and tears it up. Listen, Marcus Stroman is not Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander is better than Marcus Stroman. I would almost still take Verlander over Stroman, to be totally honest with you. Sorry to Detroit Tiger fans to say that. But you have someone in the dugout with the Blue Jays that was around during the Mount Crushmore days, that I like to call it, or the glory days in the 15-16. And I want to say that some of the moves that Shapiro and Atkins made at the deadline were both questionable, yet good. However, the Stroman deal was the best one that was made. I know a lot of people doubt that. The prospects and returns that they got were great. And I wish some more trades would have happened, but I'm also very surprised that the Yankees did stay put, because they're usually all in. But the team that won the deadline, Scotty, by far the Houston Astros. If they don't win the World Series, I almost want to put a petition in or a protest, because it almost makes no sense.
Absolutely. Scott Nason, Dave McCaig, and Butch Davis here on this roundtable edition portion of the game, as the winds and rain and lightning is going on here in the Twin Saults. Be careful if you're driving out there. Butch Davis, what is your topic tonight on the roundtable? Well, I'll get first crack and then Dave.
I don't know. Come on. I can make up something right quick here.
Sounds good.
Are you satisfied with players just laying out until they kind of extend the contract, per se, there? There's a lot of that going on there. Let's see. Dallas is one of the fine examples of players taking time off. Gordon of San Diego taking time off. Feeling that they're not fulfilling their contract goals and the obligation there. You know, why would they disrupt the team, not come to camp and do what they're supposed to do? Hey, give me your sense on how you feel about that.
That's a great topic, Butch, and I'll kind of answer it two different ways. As a player, if you can get away with it and do it, which obviously it seems the system in place right now, you can do just that, mentioning Melvin Gordon and Ezekiel Elliott, then I can't blame the player for trying to get a better deal and trying to improve their personal position as far as financially. Do I think that's right as a sports fan, as a fan of one of these teams, or as an owner or a ticket buyer that puts in good money and sees that a player has committed in writing to a specific contract and now all of a sudden isn't abiding by that contract? Then I don't think it is right. So I think the old adage is don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm probably aging myself by saying that. Do I blame the player? No, but as a sports fan, I get a little upset about it, and I don't think it's right. Anybody in professional employment that agrees to a contract, you don't have a lot of recourse to say, well, I'm just not going to go to work till I get a raise. Does that work in your line of work, Dave? Probably not. Does that work in my line of work? Certainly not.
Show them the door.
Yeah. So, looking at that portion of it and that perspective, I don't like it. But as the player, if you can get away with it, and that's the way the rules are set right now, they can, then I guess I can't blame them. I don't know if that contradicts myself 5 times, but that's my answer. Dave McCaig, your thoughts?
I think in the world of sports, and that actually was one of the topics that I was going to bring up, so I won't get into the one area that I want to jump into kind of disputing this. I'll go the other avenue of it at this current point. And being an athlete in sports and knowing individuals that play in professional sports, they have the right to hold off to get to entitle what they feel is right. And also where they want to play. They have that entitlement if they're a restricted free agent, whatever it may be in the world of hockey, the world of football, the world of baseball, anything of such. You have the right to choose where you want to go and the right that you have to sign for as much as you want to as well. And if you feel that you're worth X amount of dollars and the other team thinks that you're worth X amount of dollars and your current team thinks you're only worth this amount of dollars, you make the decision right to be able to move on to go to the other team if that's better for your needs. If you're on a team where they hold your rights, you're still in your young days in your sports. If you're a part of a team that you're still restricted free agent or for arbitration or anything, you're probably under 27 years old or under 5 years of service if we're talking baseball. And at the end of the day, you need to prove yourself as an athlete. You need to stake that name for you. You got to build that legacy. And at the end of the day, you choose what you want to do as an athlete. You go by what you want for yourself and your family. However, you should be playing the game that you love. And I remember playing the game the game that I loved, which was hockey, not the highest thing, but I paid to play. I paid fees to play. We talked about that in our first part of the show. I was just happy to be playing. Now it's considered a job for these athletes called the publicity and the media and everything of such. And maybe I don't know how it is to be at that point because now on the other side of the spectrum where I am the media, Scotty, where we're talking to these athletes, but to be doing something you love, there's nothing better. And as long as I'm a part of a team, if I have to be there or don't have to be there, as long as I'm playing, it's all that matters. Give me the right deal that you feel fits. Let's meet in the middle and get something done. That's my mentality, a.k.a. Mitch Marner.
There you go. Butch Davis, your thoughts on your own topic. A good one for just making it up on the fly.
I kind of agree with both of you on certain points there. I'm just going to be point blank on what my opinion is there. I think it's not right for a player not to honor their contract. I think it's cool for maybe the agent say, this guy needs a raise or he's done tremendously well, above expectations. Maybe the first 2 years or maybe a 4-year contract. Yeah, sure. But again, I think it's up to the owner per se to set the sidelines and the standards of what the rules are with that particular club or team. Is it do I think it's right? No. You have a contract, honor the contract to the expectation there, and then see what you can do. If you don't like it, then basically go somewhere else. That's what free agency is all about. But again, the contract has to be honored there. To disrupt other players who are your teammates, okay? And they can say they understand all they want. No, they don't understand because when it comes down to practicing and getting things at a balance, those things don't work with teams who are very seriously about competing for that big trophy there. So, again, it's a distraction. It's not right for the other teammates that you're playing with or you plan to play with. It's a great big fat mess, and really and truly, it's not the players who somewhat got this thing going there. It was the owners who give in on certain occasions of this particular there. Now, Jerry Jones, per se, he's going to play the hard rock kind of situation there. And I don't believe none of his players are going to get extensions and whatnot. That's Jerry Jones' hardline stand there. But other owners as well will give on in. The Melvin Gordon issue, I don't know what to say about that. He seems somewhat very deserving of a raise, and why not? The general manager on the off season don't look at that and say, hey, look, you did pretty doggone well. Let's give you an extension for another couple of years and pack you up with a raise. And, that might keep things going in relationships harping very well. But, again, I don't think it's a good thing for players to just report when they want to report or disrupt the team the way it has.
Time for one more topic in this segment of the game on ESPN 1400. I'm going to throw it out there. Gentlemen, this is a topic that Butch and I just brushed on in his segment, the FIBA World Cup of basketball. Are you excited about the World Cup of basketball? Well, the big stars in the NBA apparently are not. No LeBron James, no James Harden, no Andre Drummond, no Bradley Beal, no Zion Williamson. There are some that have committed to the training camp, which is going on in Las Vegas right now. The final roster will be announced on August 17th, which will whittle down from, I think, 50 to 12, coached by Greg Popovich, as the World Cup will start in China August 31st through September 15th. As 32 teams will participate, including Dave McCaig's Canada. So I'm going to go to you, Kegger, first as far as the FIBA World Cup. Is it on your radar? And should players play for country over team? Where's the patriotism? The World Cup, baby. In soccer, everybody wants to play. In cricket, everybody wants to play. Basketball, not so much. Your thoughts?
In basketball, it isn't as much. I can remember recalling to hockey where the NHL players boycotted playing in the Olympics. And when you don't see the best players in the world, which is no offense to the athletes that did participate in those specific Olympics, with the Winter Olympics previously in 2018, I believe is what it was. We're talking basketball here, though. My whole point is that when you don't have the best athletes representing your country or representing that sport in that specific tournament or Olympic event, you are missing out on the best action possible. When I think of Olympics, I'm thinking the best. I'm thinking individuals that are the best of what they do, and there's nobody else that can keep up with those individuals. LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, anybody else. Every player should have the opportunity to represent their country, and they should be happy to do it. There's some experiences, and I've talked to some professional hockey players, because that's where most of my experiences come from when talking to athletes. They have said when they have played on the Olympic teams, there's nothing better than wearing your country's logo on the front of your jersey. It is sometimes better than representing a team in a city. I've also been told that it's sometimes better to win a gold medal or a trophy like FIBA or World Championships, whatever it is, for your country, opposed to even winning the Stanley Cup or your league trophy. It's that honor. It's that legacy cement on another side as an athlete. You should not boycott playing. You should not want to play. You should not have your team tell you not that you can't play. I know you have a contract that you have to follow. However, basketball in particular, this is like any other sport. The best should be there. The best should be participating.
Butch Davis, the game starts September 3rd with Senegal and Australia at 3:30 a.m. I'm looking forward to that. The FIBA World Cup of basketball. Your thoughts?
3:30 a.m.? I don't know, buddy. It's got to be a lot of excitement going on to keep me up on that time of morning. But you know what? Mixed feelings per se there, because you don't have your best players in there per se. LeBron James is getting older or whatnot, and I can understand why they don't want to play. Maybe, and also your longevity has a lot to do with it too. Players don't want to get hurt and miss out on a great big payday, that they may be occurring. Basketball players are pretty doggone taken care of pretty doggone well here versus the hockey players who are not receive that type of money, which they should, but they don't. So it's mixed feelings on that particular subject. Am I ready for it? Myself, I'm more ready for training camp so the league can get ready there and so you can really see all the talent in general. And then also, so a lot of the other teams, foreign teams there in Europe and Asia and whatnot, those are professional players, just like the United States have, that are they're going to be putting their best out there. And Yugoslavia or teams like that, Croatia, those teams are going to be ready for action and going to have a good time of dealing with that there. So it's pretty competitive per se. And then also China as well. They're no more spring chickens anymore. They're just somebody you just can't blow away. So it's a pretty competitive type of tournament there. Should I see it every year? No. Should I see it right now before the Olympics? No. Okay, but again, people get standardized for it, and I'm quite sure it'll be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining. I'll probably turn it on a little bit. As far as these players that have committed, there are some, big names on there. Kyle Kuzma from the Lakers, Brooke Lopez from the Bucks, Kyle Lowry from the Raptors, Chris Middleton from the Milwaukee Bucks, Jason Tatum from the Celtics, Miles Turner from Indiana. So there is some talent on this team. The U.S. should be one of the favorites, but that's why you play the games, and we shall see in the FIBA World Cup. Butch Davis, before we let you go a little bit early due to a little bit of technical difficulties with the storm, give us your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, my friend.
Well, we know what the thumbs down is for maybe the 6 or 7 week in a row, Detroit Tigers there. I think it's an imposition that they that they do the fans. I think they need to have a lot more standard lineup out there in order to determine what they're going to do in the near future there, and above and beyond, do something about the pitching staff there. That is a joke, legal joke there. My thumbs up would have to be for, I guess, the many people around the country knows what happened this weekend there, and the many people who got around and stood up for their communities and whatnot, giving blood, serving food, a head to cry on the shoulder. I think that should get a huge thumb up there. The problem in general, hopefully Congress and the Senate get it together so we don't hear no more weekends such as what we have in this past.
Indeed. Butch Davis joining us on the game. Again, you can find his show at the website, Simply Butch2. That's TOO.podomatic.com. Give him a like on Facebook. Find him at Butch On Sports, or you can hear his shows on our website, thegamesportshow.com. Butch, thanks for joining us. We'll hopefully get our technical difficulties switched up and worked out next week for the full hour and hour two. Thanks for joining us tonight on the game, my friend.
Surely.
All right, that's going to do it for this segment. We'll come back with E.J. Russell, who joins the roundtable from Escanaba, Michigan. That's coming up next on the game, online at thegamesportshow.com and right here on ESPN 1400.
Hey, it's Craig here from Rodenroth Motors. Mark your calendar. Rodenroth Motors is sponsoring a Chevy Open House Friday, August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Steve Rodenroth will be showcasing his grilling skills. So grab a brat, a burger, a dog, and a bag of chips on us. Tyler will be running a prize wheel, giving away great gifts like kayaks, coolers, and much more. All the wonderful dedicated employees will be assisting with a cold beverage and a warm smile. We want to thank all the great people here in beautiful Sault Ste. Marie, along with the surrounding communities, for their continuous support. And if you drive one of those other brands, that's okay. We'll still buy you lunch, and maybe someday you'll drive a Chevrolet and become a member of our family. So come on out to our Chevy Open House here at Rodenroth Motors and have lunch on us Friday, August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and take home some great prizes. And let us thank you for all you've done for us. It's what makes Above the Bridge better. This Friday, August 9th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Chevy, find new roads.
Hey, did you go out for breakfast?
Yep, got a sausage McMuffin with egg from McDonald's, melty cheese, and a buttery English muffin. You?
Cereal. Just dry cereal.
You know, that kind of looks like what we feed the parakeet.
Yeah, it's probably why he's giving me the stink eye.
Good thing I got a McMuffin for you, too.
There's a better way to breakfast.
Whether you're hitting the road or hitting the ground running, wake up with an Egg McMuffin made with a fresh cracked egg at your local participating McDonald's.
The local housing market is competitive, and unless you have the right team in your corner, you might miss out on your dream home. That's why happy customers choose Old Mission Bank for their home mortgage needs. We provide quality service from the time you submit your application to closing and then through the entire life of your loan. Let our friendly, knowledgeable staff be your financial partner. Call or stop by to check out our competitive rates and all the other fast, simple solutions we offer at Old Mission Bank. We're located in Pickford and Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. FDIC insured, equal housing lender.
Let's get to the second half of the game here on ESPN 1400, WKNW, Sault Ste. Marie's sports leader. It's the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Now, here's Scott Nason.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and heard online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason along with Dave McCaig here in studio, our broadcast engineer tonight, Alyssa Bradley, and we are joined by our contributor all the way from Escanaba, Michigan, or rumor has it he was here this weekend. His name is E.J. Russell, who joins us each and every week talking about sports. E.J., you were in the Soo this weekend. First of all, how did that go, and how are you doing tonight?
Good. I was in the Soo. I tried to meet up with you two guys, but unfortunately the wedding festivities for which I was there took a little bit of precedence. So I wasn't able to make it to hang out with you guys. But, yes, I was in the Soo. Everything went well. I was the officiant. It was a beautiful service. Happy to see my two friends get married. And, of course, ready to talk sports, as always, with you guys.
Well, let's get right to it, EJ. Your topic on our roundtable, we've already talked about Major League Baseball. We've talked about the World Cup of basketball. and we talked about the holdouts in the NFL. So the floor is open. You get first topic here on the second half of hour 2. What are you thinking about? What would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable?
Well, as we're to the point where we don't have to go another Sunday without football until February, you guys talked a little holdout with the NFL, and what I'd like to bring up is the college football scene. And with that being said, we're in an interesting year where there are a few teams going through transition. Ohio State going to a new head coach, Oklahoma bringing in a new quarterback, Georgia on the cusp of being great, and teams like Michigan, LSU, Florida, Texas on the upswing. So my question to you guys is, out of the top 10 teams, which I'll list out for you, at Notre Dame 10, Texas 9, Florida 8, LSU 7, Michigan 6, Oklahoma 5, Georgia 4, Ohio State 3, Alabama 2, and Clemson 1. Which one of those teams are you most intrigued by, and which one, I'll say, which 4 out of those 8 make the playoff in the upcoming year?
Great question, EJ, and one that's always tough to answer, especially at this point going into practice sessions and injuries. But hey, we're going to prognosticate, and you have to start and stop with the 2 teams that seem to be in the championship every year, Clemson and Alabama. There's no reason, in my opinion, that either one of those teams is going to have a big downfall. You look at Clemson, they have to be the favorites. They're the team that's ranked number 1. They have a very easy schedule compared to Alabama. So if there's any team that probably has a chance to go undefeated, it has to be the Clemson Tigers, led by their Heisman Trophy front-runner quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who just had an amazing season last year. Clemson's the team to beat, I think, without saying. That's the team I'm watching out for as an Alabama supporter, as many of my friends know, or those that claim to be my friends but don't because I root for Alabama. Nick Saban, he hasn't gone 2 consecutive years without a national title in quite some time, and you look at Alabama, I mean, they recruit well. They get players that come in and do well. And I think that maybe you heard Nick Saban say it a couple weeks ago, talking about some of his coaches that moved on. He was a little critical. Imagine that, Nick Saban critical of some of the coaches. And maybe once they got these offers to go elsewhere, maybe they checked out a little early. I don't buy that. But Saban has a lot of good players coming back, starting with their quarterback, Tagovailoa, along with always studs on the defense. So those 2 teams I'm watching out for. Ohio State, this is a big question mark to me as far as Ohio State making the playoff. They've been right on the outskirts the last 2 seasons, but they always return good players. And until Michigan can actually knock them off, which they haven't been able to do in some time, I'm not buying Michigan, although I think that they potentially have a chance to knock off Ohio State. So you have to put Ohio State in that mix. Boy, Georgia, they were a team that was right there and looking at taking that Alabama team in the SEC title game, but they lose to a good Texas team. I think quarterback Jake Fromm is another front runner for the Heisman, but they also have a very good running back and a good defense there. Oklahoma, can they win another Heisman Trophy? They've had 2 candidates that have won the last 2 years. You got to put them in that group. So I guess, EJ, if you're asking the 4 teams right now at this moment that I see in the national playoff, I think you cannot leave out Clemson and Alabama. They are by far and away the 2 front runners. I like Ohio State still in the Big Ten. Not many people are, a lot of people are going with Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, of course, and his confidence and hubris, I might add, which he doesn't have much in my opinion. And, I don't think the SEC gets 2 teams in, so I'm going to go Oklahoma for the other team. So Oklahoma, Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson. Clemson, the favorite. Alabama, of course, my personal favorite, but I think you got Clemson, Alabama again, and roll tide, baby. Dave McCaig. College football, maybe not on your radar as much. Anything to add to that before we go to EJ, who always has a lot to add?
Definitely does. And EJ, I'll let you have some of my time with it, so I'll keep mine as brief as possible here. And you know what, Scott? I couldn't agree more. Clemson, Alabama is going to be the final. And you don't even have to follow college football to even get that assessment there because of the power rankings. Good to see my boys, though, leaving out the Oregon, getting up there.
You and Butch. The Quack Attack.
Yes, the Ducks. Good to see him 13th on the rankings there. And also Michigan being 7th. I am actually got my eye and my instinct, my sport instinct that's kicking in. Notre Dame, fighting Irish. I just feel Notre Dame had a good year last year. I feel like despite some alterations this year, I feel like they can still be a pretty good, exciting team to watch and have some redemption going into this year. But I don't think they're a championship team, but I think they should be a little bit higher than 9, to be in my honest opinion. I thought maybe they'd be in the top 7, maybe at most 5th on the top 5 at most. But again, that is just my little review of that. But Clemson, Alabama final, Clemson winning.
EJ Russell, of course, living in Escanaba, but an Ohio resident, big Ohio State fan, team that's been on the cusp but just hasn't made it. Your topic, your thoughts.
Well, let's be clear, Scotty. They've made it. They're the first ever undisputed college football playoff national champions.
That's true.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
Good call.
So let's make sure we mention that to anybody listening, especially those U of M fans that may be listeners of ours. Just got to point that out. But listen, here's the deal. We're nearing the college football season, and outside of, I'm going to stay away from Alabama and Clemson because between Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban, those are two excellent coaches. Trevor Lawrence is probably one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy winner, and he's, a sophomore this year? I mean, Alabama finds ways to not just get better, but drastically improve year after year. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa, still one of the best quarterbacks in this league. Trevor Lawrence, still one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and led by two of the best head coaches that are in this league right now. I don't need to comment on Ohio State very much. I think everybody knows what you can expect there. Justin Fields, Georgia transfer, coming to the Ohio State University, and with J.K. Dobbins and Ryan Day making what should be a seamless transition, they should still be a good football team. But I want to say the two teams that I have potentially making the playoff this year that are teams that maybe aren't on people's radar. Number one, I want to go with Texas Longhorns. I think that the quarterback there, Sam Ehlinger, if he can stay healthy, is one of the best talents in the country, and you could look to see him in a conference in the Big 12 that doesn't support a lot of what I'll call exceptional defensive play. This is a guy that can light it up statistically and can throw the ball quite well. In Tom Herman's second year as head coach, look for them to make a significant jump forward. I think Oklahoma actually takes a step back, taking the Alabama transfer, Jalen Hurts, and bringing him into the fold. I just don't see him being as dynamic of a pocket passer as guys like Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray in their last 2 years. Yes, Lincoln Riley will find a way to get the best out of his quarterback, but I just don't see them being on the same level as next year. And I actually see Texas, if able to replicate some of what they did last year. And people got to remember, they did beat Oklahoma in a game. In the regular season, they beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma got the better of them in the Big 12 championship, but Texas looked to be a good football team, and we're on the cusp of Texas football being great again. So keep an eye on them. And I got to go with Michigan. This is a school that, as an Ohio State fan, I'm frightened of. We're in a new year with a new head coach under Ohio State in Ryan Day, which should still be a seamless transition. But if Jim Harbaugh can continue to make that defense great the way he has, and if they can get the production out of Shea Patterson at the quarterback position, and if Donovan Peoples-Jones, in my opinion, one of the best talents, if not the best talent, coming out of the wide receiver position out of high school, if they can get the production out of Peoples-Jones that they should be getting, and if Shea Patterson can put up slightly above average numbers, and that defense continues to look the way they did last year, less the Ohio State game, I don't see why they can't be a Big Ten champion. Yes, my bias wants me to pick the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Ohio State University, but Michigan is still a great football team, and they've got exceptional defense. They do have what is a very good head coach. Again, he just needs to find a way to get over that hump. And I think as a sports broadcaster that if Michigan can come out on the other side, that they might dominate the Big Ten for a couple of years. And for my bias sake, I hope that doesn't happen. But Michigan is right there. I think Michigan State has an off year. I don't think Oklahoma produces. I think Georgia might make the playoff. It's entirely dependent on quarterback play from Jake Fromm, a guy that's in his junior year, and is an exceptional pocket passer, slightly undersized. But I don't think that him and DeAndre Swift have enough to get through the run of the SEC. Alabama's still got to go through a talented team in LSU, but I think that they come out there. So I'll go Alabama, Clemson. My first four is Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and I'll say Texas. But if Ohio State doesn't make it, watch for Michigan to get in. And watch for Florida to make a run at the SEC East and challenge Georgia, because they've done nothing but build on what they've got there. They haven't been awesome, really, since they had Tim Tebow. But 2 consecutive defeats to Georgia means that Florida can be a factor. They're going to reload, and they're going to come after the Dogs. So I'm going to go Alabama, Clemson, okay, and I'll do my off-color pick here. Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, and the University of Texas.
Let's continue the roundtable here on ESPN 1400. We have time for probably 2 more topics if we can keep it brief. Dave McCaig, you get 2 topics tonight. How lucky are you?
I just feel very lucky. Is it because I've made the trek over the border and made it through customs okay and got here? Is that
yeah,
why?
And the storm and rain and wind and everything. No hail, though. Looks like the storms are passing. Yes. So, Dave McCaig, what other sports is on your mind?
I'm kind of going to go a different route that I said. I kind of teased it in my response with Butch about the contracts of the players, kind of on the other side. I want to go to a very frequent discuss that's going to probably shatter everyone's want to talk about anything, to be honest with you, because it's not really fully sports related, but it's about contracts.
Okay.
Are athletes truly overpaid? Or do they get paid for too much for what they do? That's what I'm throwing on the table.
Well, I will start with that, and I will say no, because I'm a free market guy, and the market allows these players to get these contracts because the fans keep going to the games and keep buying the merchandise and keep paying the $40 to $50 price tag on parking. I mean, look at the Detroit Lions, for example, a team that, has put me through the ringer for many times. About 10 or so years ago, I publicly divorced them on the air as far as my feelings. It was something that was very good for me because now I can talk about the Lions in a nice, free way, and I don't get all emotionally invested like I do with other teams like Michigan State, like the Detroit Tigers and others. But do they get overpaid? Do I think that Draymond Green should get a 4-year, $100 million contract extension? I mean, does that seem like a lot? Yes. When we have other people in other professions, like teachers, for example, that probably should be paid more, like, other, public service people that work in other industries, mental health, I might add, like myself, that maybe could earn a little bit more. Yes. But the market dictates how these players are paid. And until fans stop supporting these teams and owners and franchises that put out these big contracts to get these players, then no. I mean, I don't think that you can say that the players shouldn't get paid that much because the market allows just that. And I'm a free market guy, and that's my answer. It's brief, but the market allows. The market should do what it does, and guess what? Those players are going to get paid, and unless people stop going to the games like they should have many years ago with the Detroit Lions, I don't think it's going to change anything. It's only going to get more and more. EJ Russell, your thoughts on Dave's topic?
Well, I mean, I'll go the opposite route just because somebody's got to do it. Scott, I entirely agree with all of your points, but here's the thing. Are athletes getting paid an extreme amount of money? Absolutely they are, and they're doing that because fans are buying the tickets, fans are buying the jerseys, they are buying the merchandise. But I think if we really want to try and better the lives of, I'll use the NFL as an example, which is probably my best sport that I know. You guys know this relatively, the statistic that most players within 4 or 5 years of exiting the league are broke. Okay. If we want to do something about making sure that these players are successful on the outside, the NCAA makes a big deal every year that 90-something% of its athletes go professional in something other than sports. And I think that these professional sports leagues do need to try and dedicate a level of commitment to the success of their athletes outside of what they're completed their term with these organizations. But I think that, yes, athletes are getting paid more than what they should get paid, but that doesn't mean that they're not being appropriately paid. And I understand that for anybody listening, that sounds off. They're being paid what their game and what sports are dictating that they should be worth. One of the biggest negative trends that we're seeing right now in sports, and I'll talk specifically again about the NFL, is that every other contract that we're seeing is a record-breaking contract. And we're seeing guys getting paid as the highest quarterbacks in this league that aren't the best quarterbacks in this league. I think that they are getting paid too much, but unfortunately we're in an era right now where the market's going to dictate how much these guys are getting paid. Dak Prescott is probably going to be a top 5 paid quarterback in this league, and I just don't feel that the amount of talent that he has as a quarterback, and I'm not talking about his leadership, he's an exceptional leader, but the amount of talent that he possesses at that position is not equivalent to the amount of money that he's probably going to get paid when Jerry Jones does decide that it's time to pay him. Look at the Michael Thomas contract. It's the first wide receiver in NFL history to make over $20 million a year. Am I correct on that? That's an absolutely ridiculous statistic. There are players that have played recently, like Calvin Johnson specifically, that is a far better talent than anybody I've seen, less than Jerry Rice. And he is not going to – Calvin never got paid the amount of money that Michael Thomas just got paid in New Orleans. And if you're going to tell me, oh, well, Michael Thomas is worth more now than Calvin was then, no, he's not. Absolutely not. Calvin Johnson is the guy that possesses the single-season record for most receiving yards in history. Was it 1,900-plus yards, breaking Jerry Rice's record? I mean, this is an era that we live in now where the dollar talks, and I think the dollar is carrying more weight now than what it means to win. And so, yes, I do believe that players are being paid too much, but I don't see any end to it because we're allowing this to happen. We continue to buy the merchandise. I'm guilty of it. I mean, I own several Browns jerseys, Browns merchandise, Indians, Cavaliers, the Ohio State University, even some Lions gear in my closet because I was a Barry Sanders fan when he was playing. We need to move in a direction and a little bit more fairness. And I think that, as my point was getting into in the beginning, that we should take some of this money away from these players in the front and start giving it to them in the back and make sure that when they're retiring that they're putting themselves and their families, which is what they're playing for, putting those players in the best position to succeed after sports.
Dave McCaig, your thoughts on your own topic, my friend?
All great points, boys, around the table. And I'll say, Scotty, you mentioned the point perfectly there that once the fans stop going and stop supporting, that is when these players are going to stop making money. At the end of the day, is that going to happen? No. You know how many sports people are in this world? I think the entire world likes following a specific sport or is enjoyed or gets into a fad. Three of us. And, they follow the specific fad, right? Of we the North, or when the Blue Jays were in the playoffs. Canada bought into everything. It is the way it is. And one of my biggest issues is when, and people have a right to their own opinion, but when they say, oh, these athletes are making way too much money. Listen, you are right. I know there's people that need the money that are less fortunate. Talk about some other countries that are poor. I understand. I totally get it. Why don't these players donate some money to this contract? I get it. I understand that point. But this is a business. These dollars are not coming out of the taxpayers' monies. They're coming out of our own pockets that really we pay taxes on, but are inside the stadiums and the teams that we watch. Okay, it's not that I'm working at the Soo Area Hospital and my deductions off my check go towards the Los Angeles Clippers and the Clippers take the money to pay Kawhi Leonard $35 million a year, which he's making 1.5 every 2 weeks. My goodness, I'd retire after 3 paychecks. I'd be okay. Heck, maybe even after 1. But I will say that after the players are getting paid way too much, it's getting higher and higher and higher and higher each year. The athletes are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It is too much. However, we're the ones to blame. The ones that are complaining, we're the reason why that's happening.
Yep.
And we're not causing any kind of world-threatening issues. There's no war. There's nothing like that. It's actually a peaceful time when it comes around sports in terms of fans enjoying something, getting competitive in that way. But at the end of the day, we are the ones supporting it. And I will say, EJ, you have great points. You bring up great points that yes, they're getting paid. I think they should be able to donate. There should be something in the contract that you have to give to a certain country or do something. I would like to see that, but that would have to be a CBA, and nobody would get behind that. But, Scotty, I got to agree with you more because of the point that we're the reasons as to why this is happening. And until we stop watching, which will be never, because the world never stop watching. Because I know I won't stop watching. I know Scott and EJ won't. Butch won't. At the end of the day, we're the reasons why. And we should be asking ourselves the question, why they get paid, not that they should be getting paid less.
Scott Nason, Dave McCaig, and EJ Russell here on the game. Generally, we got about 5 more minutes for one topic, so let's try to get through this quickly. I will add the NFL to the topic list. And which division, in your opinion, is the strongest division in football? There's quite a few to go through. Some will say the NFC North, despite the Lions being in that division. Some will say the AFC South with a little parity there. Many will say the NFC South. What say you? EJ, we'll go to you first. Let's try to do this in about a minute or so. What is the best division in football, in your opinion, heading into the 2019 season?
I don't know that it's fair to say what is the best division, but I'll say what is the most competitive division in the NFL right now. And I feel like it's a tie between two conferences. I think that the NFC North, in between the Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, and Minnesota Vikings, have 3 teams that could all make a run in the playoffs. All 3 teams loaded with talent, all 3 teams able to operate on both sides of football. But I'd say to me that probably the best division overall in the National Football League right now would have to be either the AFC West or the AFC South, and I lean towards the AFC West. Denver still has one of the best defenses in this league. The Kansas City's a team that has the MVP in Patrick Mahomes on their team. The Los Angeles Chargers still have a guy named Phillip Rivers throwing the football to guys like Keenan Allen, and if they figure out the Melvin Gordon contract, they're still a very, very good team. And the Oakland Raiders, if Derek Carr can perform like he did the year before he got paid, and adding Antonio Brown, the amount of talent that they have there on the opposite side of football, the AFC West has an opportunity to be a shootout. So I say AFC West and NFC North, one team from each division.
Very good. Dave McCaig, I like what EJ said. Most competitive division in football, and even add the best. But which one, is going to maybe have the most teams competing for the division title?
EJ, I couldn't agree more with yours, but I'm going to go on a different side just to make listening a little bit more exciting on our end for a little disagreement purposes. I'm not going to say the AFC North just so everybody knows, okay? That division's not the most competitive or the best. I got to say competitiveness-wise, I got to go with the NFC East between the Cowboys, Eagles, and Skins. Okay. Last year's records kind of do show that for me outside the New York Giants, obviously. In terms of the best division in my eyes, and I know I'm going to get a lot of size for this, but just because of the shootouts that they have and the quarterbacks at those helms, the NFC South. I got to go with the NFC South with the Saints, Falcons, Panthers. Not much so the Buccaneers. It always seems like it's 3 teams in a division, but you got Drew Brees. You got Ryan. You got Cam Newton. Don't forget Carolina was a Super Bowl finalist recently. The Falcons as well. We know what happened in that game. The New Orleans Saints arguably should have been there last year given a call. So you say the last, let's say 5 years, maybe a team from that division should have won or all been in the finals. A lot of offensive talented teams, defensive-minded teams as well. But I will say that I think that is the best division in football. But EJ, that's just me arguing with you for your sake. I got to say the division with the Chiefs, and that would be the AFC West. The West would be, but I just got some about with the New Orleans Saints, Falcons, Panthers, and the Bucks.
Yeah, I think there's 2 real competitive divisions this year. You got to say the NFC North. Really, there's 3 teams that could realistically win it. No offense, Lions. I don't see them being one of those 3 teams. The Bears are the team that won it last year. You have the Vikings that underachieved and the Packers that have Aaron Rodgers. So I think either of those 3 teams can win. And I like what you said about the NFC South, Dave. The Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers. Again, I think the Buccaneers are the odd team out, but you said it. You have some good Super Bowl potential teams in that group. The Saints got robbed. They should have been there with a bad call, and so that would be my most competitive division. Let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, gentlemen. I will start. Thumbs up to the officials and people out in Pickford this past Saturday for the Pickford Heydays. First time ever being part of those festivities. My son was playing in a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and a couple officials that I knew, there were a lot of officials there that volunteered their time, didn't get paid for these. Pat Bennon being one. I know a listener of the show, and Matt Johnson, who we've had on the show many times. They were 2 of the officials, along with some of the players and people in Pickford. Kudos to them. Thumbs down, social media and negativity and comments. Enough, people. Pick up the phone. go volunteer, go run for Congress, go do something rather than sit behind your computer screen and complain about every little thing that's going on locally, regionally, and nationally. And I'm not talking just sports.
Booyah.
Dave McCaig, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week.
I'll go with the thumbs down, and people are going to be surprised about maybe the route that I am going to go here with this. But I'm going to say the Blue Jays trade deadline. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was great. Shapiro Atkins, I don't know if I believe yet. I really don't know. I do believe in the pitching, though. But still, the deadline, I don't know still. Remains to be seen, though. Positives, I like to keep it positive. That's actually my first thumbs down in 4 weeks. So I thought I'd give one just for entertainment purposes. Thumbs up, Vlad Jr. Speaking on the Blue Jays side, another player of the week candidate or winner this week.
Great season.
The kid is absolutely unbelievable. He's better than where Mike Trout was when he was 19, but no, he's not Mike Trout. I'm saying that right now. Mike Trout is the best baseball athlete to ever play the game, in my opinion. But again, Vlad Jr. is looking exciting. The young team on the Blue Jays looking exciting, and it wasn't Shapiro Atkins that built this young team. It was AA Alex Anthopoulos.
EJ Russell, you have 1 minute for your thumbs up and thumbs down, my friend. What you got?
Well, good thing I do this pretty quickly. I have no thumbs down this week, 2 thumbs up. Number 1, Baker Mayfield for chugging it here at the Indians.
Yes,
that's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is greater than Aaron Rodgers just for doing that.
Yes.
I don't care about anything else. This is the people's champion. This is the guy
The Rock?
that my Cleveland Browns are behind. And it didn't look like it tasted too bad. So thumbs up, Baker Mayfield, for chugging that beer. I thought that was an awesome sports moment. Second thumbs up, I actually want to give to my 2 friends who are the reason that I was in Sault Ste. Marie this weekend. Congratulations to Andrea and Ryan Hendrick. Got married over the weekend. Ryan is a Sault Ste. Marie native or local. He lives there. Originally from a different part of the UP, but a listener of the show. So I want to give a thumbs up to you and your now bride, Andrea. Congratulations to you both, and your boys couldn't be happier for you.
That's going to do it for this Monday night edition of the game. Want to thank our special guest, Doug Laprade, head coach for the Soo Eagles. Want to thank you, Dave McCaig, here in studio, EJ Russell in Escanaba, and our broadcast engineer, Alyssa Bradley, as we can have and hear the show online at thegamesportshow.com. The podcast is usually put up about an hour after the broadcast, so check us out and make sure you tune in next Monday night for another edition of the game online at thegamesportshow.com and right here on our new home, ESPN 1400.
Thanks for listening to the game here on ESPN 1400 WKNW, Sault Ste. Marie's sports leader. Check us out next Monday at 6 for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You can hear the podcast of the show and other broadcasts at thegamesportshow.com.